Welcome and thank you for joining us for the International Student Connect Driver's License Presentation Part 1. My name is Ingrid and I'll be your presenter for today. We're going to talk about driving in Ontario if you are new to the province, especially as an international student. Now, these are some shorter versions of our live webinars. So if you'd like to join us for live webinars, you may do so by going to our website, and I'll provide that information to you at the end of this presentation. We're going to look at on our agenda items today, we'll look at driving in Ontario, new drivers to Ontario, and getting a graduating license. This is part 1, and then we'll have part 2, where you may view part 1 and then go ahead and take a look at part 2. So we will explain the steps you need to take as a new driver, or if you already have a license from another country, we'll outline the process that you need to follow in order to obtain an Ontario driver's license. So while you're living in Ontario, valid driver's license is recognized by the government of Ontario, is required to drive in the cities or on the highways. You must keep this license with you all times or whenever you're driving. If the police stops you or pulls over your car, you must show them your driver's license. You must also renew your driver's license every 5 years. So as an international student, chances are if you're not planning on residing in Ontario after you have graduated from school, you may not necessarily be here long enough to renew the driver's license. Or if you are planning to reside in Ontario by getting your permanent residence after, then definitely you'll need to do that. A valid driver's license from another country can be used in Ontario up to 60 days after your initial arrival in the province. After you've been in Ontario for 60 days, you must get the Ontario driver's license in order to drive legally. Ontario has a graduated licensing system, and the system includes 2 steps based on driving experience. So first, drivers get a novice license or a learner's permit. That's called a G1. And with a G1, you must drive with another licensed driver in the car. Next, you'll get a probationary license, which is a G2. With that license, you can drive on your own. And then you graduate to the full G license. You must pass a written test to get your G1. So when you decide that you are going to go for the G1, it will mean that you're going to have to study the driver's handbook and go and do a written test. The learning period of the G1 license is 12 months. If you take a certified driver's education course, you can take your test for the G2 after an 8-month learning period. Now, when you've got your G1, you must have a secondary driver, as we said earlier, and you cannot drive between no driving between midnight, so 12 a.m., and 5 a.m. The 400 series highways are a restriction, and you must have 0 alcohol level in your blood. So that means you cannot drink at all. If the licensed driver in the car is under the age of 21, they too must also have a 0 alcohol blood level. Now, for your G2 license, you will be required to take a physical driving test. We call that the road test. You must have a G2 license for a minimum of 12 months or 8 months if you take a class. And application for the G license can be done after the 12-month period. Every passenger in the car must have a working seatbelt when you get the G2, and there are additional restrictions for drivers under the ages of 21. Types of driver's licenses. So we've got several different licenses. We talked about the different classes for that you must go through first. So you'll get what is known as your G1, your G2, your G, and then with the Class G license, you're able to drive vans, cars, small trucks, so SUVs. There's what is known as the M class, that's for motorcycles. Class A is for trucks, so larger size trucks and like tow trucks. D is for the extra large trucks, tractors, and trailers. So if you're a tractor trailer driver, that's what you're going to need. And Class C or F is for buses. Now, let's look at new drivers to Ontario. The Ministry of Transportation, or the MTO, is responsible for transportation and related laws. So this is where you will get the book that you're going to need to study for the G1 license that we talked about earlier. So you'll get a book, the official MTO handbook. You'll get it either online, you can purchase it, or you can get it from a library. And there are driver education courses and practical lessons that you can get from a registered learning instructor, driving instructor. When you're applying for your driver's license, you must be 16 years or older. You have to pass the written driving test. There's an eye test that goes with that, and there's also a road test. To complete the practical driving test, so this would be after you have now gone through getting your G1 license, and then you're now going to graduate from the G1 to the G2, you will need to go to the Drive Test Center. You can visit www.drivetest.ca for more information on that. And once your license needs to be renewed, you must go to a Service Ontario Center. Go to www.ontario.ca and you'll find information on Service Ontario. The documents that you are required to have in order for you to apply for a driver's license, they must be original documents and they must be government identification. That could be your birth certificate, a PR card if you are a permanent resident here in Canada. Ontario health cards are also used. You can have a Canadian work permit, Canadian landing documents, or any other form of identification, for example, your passport from your country. If you have never had a driver's license or do not have possession of one from your country, you will get the G1 license. Now you are going to have to go to the Drive Test Center that we talked about earlier. Bring your identification. If you wear glasses or contact lens, make sure that you've got those in. Bring payment of $148.75. This amount changes whenever the government increases the amount. And when you get to the center, take a number and wait to be called. Do not skip the line. We don't like that. So please, once you get there, just take a look and see what everybody else is doing. I know the systems will probably be a little bit new to you, but take a number and just wait your turn for your number to be called. The written test is completed at the Drive Test Center. So when you go to the Drive Test Center, after you have read your book, the book that you would have gotten from the MTO's website or purchased in perhaps one of the Canadian Tire stores or anywhere where they're available, and they're available in many places. Many bookstores sell them. Then you're going to need to go to the Drive Test Center. Different languages are also available, and there is no time limit when you start writing the test. When we say different languages, you can write the test in a different language if you need to. Your eye test will be completed, so they do take your eye test when you get there. They check to see how well you can see. Your picture will be taken, and if you pass that test, your picture will be taken if you pass the test. Then you'll be issued the temporary G1 license, and the G1 photo card is sent to you in the mail. Once you've done that, you now will drive for either 8 or 12 months, depending on whether or not you go to a driving school. Once that is completed, you now need to book the road test online and print out the confirmation email that you get back. Check in at the testing center and take the road test. A G2 license is issued to you immediately if you are successful with your road test. If you're not successful, a new test will be completed. Now, your driver's license will expire after 5 years. If you still have your G1, you will have to go back and do that again. So if I were you, so that means you're going to have to go back and get the do the written test and then get the G1 again. So I don't think as an international student you would let that happen. Most people want to drive right away. So if you're here and you've gotten your G2 means that after 5 years you must get your G. So if you don't get your G, you will have to start all over again. So please don't let that be you. We have available on our website, which is www.internationalstudentconnect.org. You may find us also on settlement.org. There is a thumbnail on settlement.org that you can click on, a widget, sorry, that you can click on, and you'll find us there. On our website, we've got the Ontario International Student Guide. We have fact sheets, a transition plan that I'll show you in a little bit, and we have handbooks. We also have group sessions. So if you are in Canada and you are at one of the schools, one of the institutions that takes part in the International Student Connect project, you are able to attend one of these sessions. We also have one-on-one sessions where you will be able to speak with one of our trusted settlement workers at no cost to you. And we also have live webinars that you should be able to join us. If you'd like to ask some questions regarding any of the topics, you may do so by joining us live at our webinars. We have a transition plan that is created especially for international students. What this plan does is that it helps you to keep track of the tasks and different schedules that you may have as an international student. For those especially who are planning on becoming a permanent resident after they have completed their studies, this is actually very, very good for you. Please go ahead, go on our website, click on the transition plan tab. You can find it. I'm just going to highlight that for you. You can find it right here. So that's the transition plan. And you will get to right here where it'll say get started. You click that and it'll take you to where you create an account for yourself. Okay, now the International Student Connect project is brought to you by Costi Immigrant Services. We are the coordinating agency. The project is funded by the Ministry of Citizenship and Immigration Canada. And Costi Immigrant Services coordinates this project. We have over 17 locations across the Greater Toronto area, and we service over 39,000 clients annually. While you're here, if you need any settlement services, please do feel free to contact us. You may go to www.costi.org. We may be able to help you with some of the needs that you may have. We also have an email address that you can contact us. It's isc@costi.org. And our telephone number is 1-844-871-4567. Thank you so much for joining us for this particular presentation. If you've got additional questions, please do feel free to contact us by going on our website and registering for our live webinars. That way you will be able to ask me questions as we go live. Thank you once again for joining us.